Hello and welcome to Gate Zero. I'm davidinark and this is the demo version of Gate Zero, which is a game based on biblical events, and the game looks very promising from the video footage that I've seen. They've got a demo that they've released, and so I thought I would give this a try. So here we are. When it first fires up, the background is a little confusing to me because, well, it's very modern day, as you can see there, so not quite sure what's going on here. But then that is a little bit explained through the next sequence, where it talks about how your grandmother left these clues to a puzzle, and there's some kind of a pearl, and not quite sure what's going on. Ultimately, you end up here.
Hi. Welcome to my HQ. This is where I hang around. So look around if you'd like and get to know the place before we start.
So at this point in the demo, as you can see, it's definitely not optimized. So it takes a little bit for it to load in when you start looking around. But it catches up pretty decently. It uses motion blur, so be aware of that. But there's not a lot going on. There's not a lot to do. There are places where you can interact.
From the state power supply and left to my own devices.
So
After 2 months of
one of the things that you learned right there, sometimes the voices just simply cut out. The rest of this is just some exploration. I'm running around. Again, you can interact with things kind of, but for the most part, this is very, I don't know, passive. It's a very walking simulator. There is this room here with a bunch of stuff in it, and if I go over here,
every time I travel to Jerusalem, I like to bring a souvenir back with me.
which is very cool, and there is a room of souvenirs. However, you can't interact with any of these to see what they actually are. So I'm assuming that that's going to be revealed at some point in the game, but I do not know that for a fact. Once you leave here, of course, there's some more backstory going on, and you can learn more about what's going on, who's controlling things. At this point, I'm just walking around, exploring, and finally decide to go down here where I can talk to this dude.
Hey, Hector.
Hey there. I've been waiting for you. I'm just finishing up some final adjustments in the time machine here. I want you to travel back to a very significant event. This is going to be really crucial for us.
We're ready. Where are we going this time?
We're going to Passover in the year 33.
So I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of the whole time machine thing. This is very Assassin's Creed, and I don't know. I think they should just drop us into.
Get set. Here we go.
Yeah, I think the game should just already be in the environment. Forget this whole time machine thing, going back in time. Why can't you just live in that moment, in that environment? I don't know. In any case, this fades to white, and then there's a very long wait before this comes back up.
Welcome back to Jerusalem, to a very important time, Passover. This is the greatest celebration of the year for the Jews, and hundreds of thousands have traveled to Jerusalem in memory of their deliverance from Egypt, and to offer sacrifices in the temple.
Wow. It's a totally electric atmosphere. I can actually hear the roar of the city all the way up here.
Yeah, you totally can. Does it sound like it's coming from the Golden Gate? See if you can figure out what's going on.
So at this point, I mean, the environment looks very cool. I dig this a lot. I spent the next, 10 minutes or so just exploring, finding things to do. Essentially, when you run up to things, some of them you can interact with, some of them you can't. I spent an insane amount of time running along the outside border. I wasn't quite sure how open world this was. It turns out it's, again, very Assassin's Creed. You know, if you try to go outside of your area, in this case, it blocks you. You can't, versus, you know, being desynchronized or whatever. But as I was walking around, I happened to come across this garden gate. So I was like, hey, this looks kind of cool. Let's go through here and see what's up. Now, one of the problems I have is I told it no music, and yet there is music in the background, and I really have a problem with that. In the meantime, you have these stone markers that you can kind of read, but really you can't read, and that is very frustrating. Nevertheless, I decided to go through the maze and see what was in here. Most of the time I spent trying to figure out what the words said. It turns out that there'll be a question on the stone, and there's a right answer and a left answer, and the correct answer gets you further in, and the wrong answer takes you to a dead end. Like I said, I spent a crazy amount of time doing this and eventually found my way back out to the gate. So it's nuts. And again, just spent some time running around, trying to jump up, and you can see that like in some places you can jump up, and in other places you can jump, you just can't jump up to what you're talking about. Somehow I managed to stumble into this side quest. So you'll notice that there are different markers on the screen that lead me to different items. So you'll notice straight in front of me now there's a side quest icon with what appears to be a spinning gamepad, I guess. I don't know. And then over to my left is where my destination marker is, if you will. Like that's the next place I'm supposed to go. There are these posters everywhere. There are scrolls all over the place. There is so much reading in this game. I thought that Skyrim had a lot of reading with all the freaking books. Doesn't even come close, man. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad, but there is a lot of reading. And to me, that's one of the... I don't know, it's one of the downfalls of 99% of all Bible-based video games, and I think that's part of what turns people off from Bible-based video games is developers seem to want to cram the Bible down the players' throats by making everything where you have to, read this and view this, and it's just, I'm sorry, you need a different way to do that. And then there were things like this where, it talks about a riddle, and I'm like, okay, well, let me see what this says about riddles. And, well, it says you can solve riddles later. Okay, well, that's not very helpful. And then you have things like this. This dude's sitting here. I can't interact with him. He acts like I'm not even there. So, and again, now this is a demo, so who knows? Maybe in the final release, some of this stuff will be cleaned up. But it's a little frustrating. I mean, here you have these two guys who are supposedly talking to each other, but they're just standing there, crossing their arms and kind of looking, and they don't acknowledge you at all. So, again, some things that probably need to be worked out. Here I can just reach into the fire and grab charcoal. I'm assuming that a lot of this stuff is going to be used for crafting. I'm not a big fan of crafting, but I know a lot of people are, so I'm sure there's going to be stuff that we have to put together and build and all that kind of stuff. So here again, I'm just trying to find my way through and figure out, what can I do, what can't I do. I can get a bucket of water from the well. Sure, why not? Except I need a bucket. So I'll have to, I think I either had to buy a bucket or make a bucket. I don't know. At some point I end up with a bucket. So there you go. But as you can see, there's like a little house here, and you can kind of look in the window. Again, some of the stuff I hope gets fleshed out as the game becomes more and more developed. So I did some more exploration running around, and eventually ended up where I needed to go in terms of the mini game, which is explained to me that there are some wolves out there and lost sheep, and you have to go rescue the sheep. So that's exactly what I did. I set out to rescue the sheep, which turns out to be a little easier than I imagined. I don't know why I thought this was going to be hard, but it's fairly simple, and it's actually kind of a neat little mini game. But essentially you grab the sheep and you run and put them in the pen, which I think is interesting that they got out because the door is open, but when you put them back in, the door stays open. Just saying, it's a little weird to me, but anyhow. So I picked up some stones, and here I am again picking up the sheep and returning them. Now, I also have to be on the lookout for wolves, because the wolves will...
A hungry wolf is approaching.
Well, there you go.
He wants your lambs. You must defend them by throwing rocks to scare the wolf.
Alright, so I get a stone, and it's not exactly clear what you do. Okay, well, here you go. So I do like the fact that throughout the game, these little help pop-ups show up. They don't exactly... There we go. Oh no, he's got my sheep. There we go. Come here. No, come here. Come here. Alright, well, they're all running all over the place. Let me get some more stones. So one of the other things that I learned in this minigame is that if they have the exclamation point above their head, they're scared and you can't pick them up. So you have to wait for them to calm down, and then you have to go find a sheep that allows you to pick it up. See, it'll have the little sheep icon there. So now I can grab this one. Here's the wolf in the background, so I got to hurry up and drop this sheep off. You'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, there's how much time it is taking for you to do it, and then also you get a score and you see how many lambs have you caught, how many have you lost. Oh, that should not be as satisfying as it is, but it is, because, you know, why not? So definitely some fun aspects to the game for sure. So we continue this, and then I go on exploring some more. So here we go. I finished the mini game, and you can always go back and redo the mini game. I don't quite understand. I mean, other than the fact that you can increase your own score, I don't know what that effect has on the game itself. I guess we'll see how that plays out. You can also buy a horse at some point. I was not able to because I didn't have any money. And then...
Hey Max, remember why you're here. We need to figure out what Grandma meant with her riddle. I think you have it with you. Keep your eyes peeled for clues that you might find along the way.
So, as you walk around, you begin to get pieces and parts for the riddle. So you see here, Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. Through the grain fields, disciples took their fill. The Pharisees cried against the Sabbath's will, and Jesus replied with words profound, I blank, 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 blank resounds. And then here you have this puzzle that you have to maneuver the rings in order to do something. I don't understand exactly what's going on here. And then you also have these shapes. So if you notice, the outer ring has these kind of icons, and the screen to the right has matching icons, but I have no idea what you're supposed to do with these. I don't know if I missed that explanation somewhere, or if it just hasn't been explained yet. So I spent some time playing around with this, but I didn't get anywhere, I don't think. Oh, actually, I forgot about this part. I did stumble on bringing up these words for the riddle. So obviously the words go in there somehow. Okay, so I desire mercy, so that worked. Not, and whatever word is missing, I didn't have it yet. So I'm gonna have to run around, find these words, and then put the riddles and clues together. I mean, I guess I guess that's okay. That's not really I don't know, for me that's not really a fun thing. Again, I think this is one of those issues where you've got a Christian game trying to be too Christian, and I hate to say that. I mean, anytime you can help spread the word of God, I think that's an awesome thing. But I think in this game environment where it's exploration and even the puzzle solving part of that, then turning that into text that I have to click and try to put pieces and parts together, again, I suddenly feel like I'm in, I don't know, Sunday school or something. So, and maybe that's just me. I don't know. I would love to hear other people's feedback on what you think in those regards. But so far, the puzzles, I'm not sure about. So we'll just see kind of how that pans out. Once again, I'm doing some more exploring, and we'll just kind of see where this leads.
Hey Max, look out for the guards. Make sure to hide behind obstacles to avoid their line of sight. You can throw rocks at something that makes noise to distract them.
Okay, this part of the game, I was like, okay, now we're getting into some really cool aspects. I love that they've got the question marks over their heads there. I can do some sneaking around. As he mentioned, I can throw rocks at the little pots over there to try to get their attention. So if we aim... Oops, I missed. This is, to me, this is kind of Hitman-ish. So I like that it's combining different elements of different games.
What was that?
All right, so there they go. And now I can sneak in behind them.
Did I hear something?
Uh-oh.
Welcome to the Temple Mount of
okay,
Jerusalem
I guess I'm in.
in
All right.
Year 33. Feel free to explore and discover facts about the city. There could also be some clues for Grandma's riddle around here somewhere.
So,
Maybe you could find answers at the most holy place, like the priests did.
so once again, a couple of issues. Well, one, I had to get past the guards in order to get in here. But then once I'm in, everything's okay. Seems a little weird. But anyway, whatever. When I pulled up the map, you notice there were little scrolls dotted all over the place. And so now I have to figure out where the scrolls are kind of in relation to the map. Oh, here we go. So again, we have prophets. So this one, prophecies about Jesus. He would speak in parables. Here was the prophecy in the Old Testament and the fulfillment in the New Testament. This is very... How do I want to say this? This is very good information for biblical study, at least from my perspective. And the way they're doing this is not necessarily too bad. I do like the fact that they are tying in Old Testament to New Testament, but the problem I have, again, is I have to go around and collect all of these scrolls, and I have to do all this reading. And I'm just not a read while you play a game kind of person. That's just not my thing. So I don't know. It'd be neat if there was some other way to do this other than making it, again, very Sunday school. But again, maybe that's just my personal preference. As I'm running around here, I'm trying to jump and see what I can climb onto. You notice I was able to climb over that one wall earlier, and now I can't climb over these walls, so I don't quite understand what I can and can't climb. I do like that the icons change. You'll notice that the one icon is now an open scroll in the lower right-hand corner, meaning that I've already read that one. So that's very helpful. What I had talked about earlier was music. I have the music disabled. I told it no music, and yet the music is playing anyhow. And that may not bother some folks, but if you are a YouTuber like I am, right, and I'm posting this, then the issue could potentially be copyright. And I don't know. For all I know, I'm going to get a copyright strike for this video. I have no idea. We'll find out. But that's an issue for YouTubers. If you give an option for no music, then the music should not be playing when the person's playing the game. Just gonna throw that out there. So I'm definitely gonna let the devs know about that. So once again, I did a lot of running around, a lot of exploring. I read a whole bunch of these scrolls, and honestly, I don't know, at some point it's just much like Skyrim. You just run around picking up books and looking for stuff, trying to get some kind of a clue or reward or something. Eventually I'm supposed to go into the
Max, you can't enter here without the priest robes.
yeah, so I'm supposed to go into where the high priests are, and I can't get in there without robes. I don't know what I'm doing, so you know, there's not anything that told me what I was supposed to do. The mark telling me where to go told me to go to that room. So I don't know, you know, this is one of those things where, okay, what am I supposed to do?
Hey Max, I have an idea.
Okay, what's up?
What if we turn you into a priest, so that you can get an even closer look at what goes on here? Are you up for it?
I'm up for anything. But, how do we do that exactly?
Okay, last time I came here, I brought some highly specialized priest robes. They've got technology in them that connects to your DNA, so that you actually become a part of the priesthood.
Okay, are you serious? Where do you even get stuff like this?
I made a time machine, Max. This was a piece of cake compared to that. Besides, this is a necessity. Remember, only those of the tribe of Levi can do the work of the temple. So you have to become one of the tribe.
Cool, well, I guess I'm gonna try something new today.
There's just one problem.
Every time you say something like that, I've got to go on some kind of quest. What's up now?
Well, I don't know if you could call this a quest exactly, but I can't remember where I stored the robes. I know that I wrote it down here somewhere. I have to look around a bit. Help me out and see if you can find something that gives us a clue.
Sure.
So now I have to go figure out, you know, where the priest robes are or whatever I need to go find for the priest robes, etc. So I do kind of like that there is sort of this mission quest going on, but again, I'm not a big fan of the whole time machine aspect, so I think that could be reworked where you just, maybe you're just told, hey, you have to go find the robes. I don't know. I don't buy into the whole robes DNA thing. I don't know, man. Some of this is just, I mean, I understand it's a game, but by the same token, I don't know. Some of it's a little hard to swallow. But anyhow, you know, so that's what we do. We run around, and you can see it's got some performance issues, some stuttering, what have you, as the game progresses. So again, I go wandering around, grabbing stuff, reading stuff, trying things out. Eventually you have to try to distract guards in order to sneak into this kind of garden area or whatever. And it took me a lot of attempts. The idea is to throw rocks at the pots in order to distract the guards, and it's, I don't want to say it's broken. It definitely needs some work, and I'll tell you why. The main reason is because when you are going to attempt to throw the rock at a pot for the guard, you have to hit the specific pot that guard is tied to. Okay, so in this particular case, I'm going to throw this rock over here, and I can't remember if this one works or not.
What's that noise?
So, yes, it did. Okay. In some cases, when you hit that pot, it either A, doesn't trigger the guard at all, or B, it triggers the wrong guard, and so the one you're trying to distract is just still, like, standing there. So, it definitely needs some work. And as a matter of fact, oh, look at there. What's that, like the edge of the wall? That's interesting. But anyhow, this is pretty much where I left off. I didn't even finish the demo at this point, just because it had taken me so long to get to this point by breaking these dumb pots that I was done. I was frustrated. At this point, I'd been playing the game for just about an hour and didn't even realize it. So in a way, that's good, right? Because it was at least fun enough to keep my attention for an hour without realizing it. But by the same token, I'd been playing for an hour, and I'm not sure I felt like I had accomplished all that much. But then again, I guess, you know, if you're playing Assassin's Creed or you're playing Hitman, it's kind of the same thing. Even Skyrim or GTA for that matter, or heck, even BeamNG. In any case, there you go. I just wanted to throw this out there and give kind of my initial feedback and thoughts and what have you on Gate Zero. Again, the demo is available on Steam, so you can check it out. And the game itself is supposed to be out, I think they said December 2024. is the target time, so we'll just see how that goes. Got any other questions, problems, suggestions, horror stories? Feel free to leave those down in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm davidinark. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.